Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name is Nadine and we're going to look at a certain question today. And that came up for me because I've been doing tarot card readings for such a long time now. And what I see so often is that people come to a reading or have the same questions over and over and over again. So they're asking the same question. This usually can sound something like, will they come back? Should I stay? Should I go? Is this situation going anywhere? Or what's next? So it's a lot of this focus on the future actually. And if that is also you and you've been looking at tarot readings here on YouTube, for example, in those questions in mind, or even looked at different YouTube videos with always the same question, then this video might be the right one for you. Because most of the time you're not that confused. A lot of the times it has to do with the fact that we're avoiding a decision in life. And this is no judgment, by the way, in any way, but what we want to move forward to, if you're actually wanting to change something in your life, is clarity and intention and movement. So for this specific reading, I pulled 3 positions, and the energy is basically the first energy that is what you already know about the situation. So this is something that you are aware of, that you've been dealing with. The second energy is what you're avoiding. I have to look at my notes here every once in a while, so I'm not budging this completely. And the third energy is the action that you might be postponing regarding to your situation. So we're going to take a look now at how this creates a cycle of repeatedly asking a tarot reading the same questions or looking for the answers in different tarot readings. The first one that wanted to pop out is the Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands in reverse is what popped out. And I feel like this is a very clear energy if we're looking at that. What the energy is basically telling us here is it's not so much what I feel. What the meaning of this card is it's inconsistency. So it's excitement without any direction. So that it could also feel like stability, but there's no passion. So to give you some real world examples of this, right? So the inconsistency could be in your finances, in your career, in your love life, in any other area in your life where you've been excited about something and you're like, oh, I could try this budgeting method, or I could try this career advice, I could try this or the other and the other. But then the movement is like, you understand it, right? You understand everything and you're moving through it, but you're not actually making the decisions that you need to be making. So it feels almost like that you're showing up very intensely in those situations, like you have this want, this need to create something more, but you're also disappearing again. For some of you, this could also be showing up if you have an online presence, a social media presence. It could literally be this: you post for a week straight, all the reels or all the videos, and at the end of that week, you sort of drop off and then there's nothing for another 3 or 4 weeks. Or you are really good with your finances for a week, but the other 3 weeks of the month, you sort of fall off the cliff. That is actually so accurately was me. So yeah, that's interesting. So that was actually me for the longest time. I would go in and do something for like a week or 2 and then abandon it and try and make it better, instead of staying consistently, showing up consistently and doing what needs to be done to keep this momentum going and to actually change my situation. This can also very much feel very alive, very fast, very emotional, but it's not like there's no intention. It's not grounded in anything, so it just sort of floats off in the air. So this might also make you feel like there is chemistry, there is connection, there is potential, but deep down there is this pattern of on and off. Okay, so that's the summary. It's on and off, hot and cold, moving forward, then pulling back again. And I feel like the reason that you keep asking the same question isn't because you don't understand the energy. I think you very much do understand the energy, because I feel like you're asking with this energy, with the Knight of Wands here, you're asking it basically because you're hoping that this unstable energy that you have in your life turns into something consistent if you just hear it often enough. Like a lot of times we can feel like if we hear something often enough and if we understand it 400 times, then it will finally change something. Problem is that understanding itself does not really make up for the other things. So let's move on, shall we? I think I've said everything about this. So, no, there's something more that wants to come through. So I feel like the consistency is something that you're chasing with the Knight of Wands. So this is what you already know. So if I'm telling you these things, you might recognize yourself and be like, oh yeah, it's totally me. And like I said, that was totally me. So no shame there. But we're doing these readings here on this channel exactly to give you a next action step in order to move forward. So the next card I have pulled was the Eight of Cups. This is what you're avoiding. The Eight of Cups is your avoidance. That means that this is the emotional walking away. Cups represent our emotions, and the Eight of Cups represents moving away from something. This is also recognizing something isn't fulfilling to you, for example, yeah? And you're still struggling to leave it behind. That could mean that I feel the Eight of Cups here does not necessarily mean that you don't care about something. I think you care very much, otherwise we wouldn't have that first Knight of Wands energy. That's very intense energy. I think it actually means that there's history here. There's emotional investment here. And also that this is coupled with hope. So therefore, because you are emotionally invested in this situation, and it doesn't matter if it's finances, love, your career, whatever it is, but you're emotionally invested in the outcome of this, this is why it becomes so hard to leave it behind or to go into a different direction or to actually change something. I feel like there's also this quiet realization that what you're getting out of what you're trying to do is just not enough. So I feel like what you're avoiding here is not clarity in that sense. I feel it's more like the letting go part on an emotional level. So in order to change something, it might be important to leave something behind here, even though that might be emotionally charged or hard to carry. This might mean that you're asking the same questions again, because as long as you keep asking those questions, you actually don't have to make a decision, if that makes sense. You don't have to actually abandon something yet. You don't have to change how you're doing things just yet. You're still asking the question. Do you understand? I'm sure you understand, but it's like you could have this idea of what your business is supposed to look like. You could have this idea of what your career or your finances are supposed to look like, or your love life. But if you keep in that stage where you're just asking question after question after question, it becomes this knowledge base, right? So you know all the things, it's just the acting isn't here yet. So it sort of feels like you are more indecisive, but because you're emotionally tied to it. And I feel like that's why a cycle is repeating itself. So the next position I looked at, that is the action that you're postponing, okay? So the action that you're not doing right now is sort of what's keeping you stuck in this cycle. That is the next position. So we actually got 3 cards here. So we got, let's start here, the Six of Swords. Nope, that was here. The Nine of Cups. And the Seven of Coins, yeah? Those 3 is what wanted to come out. And I thought it was a really powerful message, because the Six of Swords is like, first of all, it's your mental state, it's your thoughts. So it could be that I feel like this is the mental clarity, but it's also creating distance. It's like a slow shift, shifting your focus, sort of to say, away from what's been turbulent and towards something that's more peaceful. The Six of Swords always represents a time in our lives where we have learned something, where we have acquired knowledge, and that knowledge is now leading us to different shores, yeah? So it's like a little bit like a mini new beginning. I like to call this card the mini new beginning, because with this, what it means is that you have maybe asked for help. You might have done the courses. You might have done all of the things. You have gathered all this intellectual, mental knowledge that you could possibly need to move forward. And now this is about actually taking up the speed, actually going in that direction, and maybe also with some help. Okay, so this could also be help that's coming in for you. But the most important thing here is really that it is acquired knowledge, and the knowledge that you have to use it to move forward in some way or another. So I feel like this is not you cutting someone or something off overnight. I feel like it's a simple decision here, to not stay mentally stuck in all of the things that you've acquired. The Nine of Cups is choosing emotional fulfillment to me. It's the wishing card where you finally fill your cups up. You can see that all of these cups are empty at this point. So this is for emotional fulfillment. This is also making a wish and acting on it. So I feel like this is asking yourself right now in the situation that you're in, what actually makes you feel good? What makes you feel stable? What makes you feel content? What do you need in your life to feel those things and to fill up those cups? Because this card is very clearly not saying wait for someone else to create that feeling. So not the outer reward that you might be chasing, but it is about choosing yourself what you want to do. And then we have the Seven of Coins, and the Seven of Coins energy is often to do with patience, but I feel like this is where you invest your energy differently. You stop putting your time and effort and emotional energy into something that is uncertain. So you move from this uncertainty that we saw here and here, this hot and cold energy, leaving something behind, to this path of where you're like actually actively choosing where to invest in your life. And that's might also mean that you stop putting your time and energy and emotional energy especially into something that is not what you want anymore. So that means like that on and off energy where you have this random spurts of activation and then just drop off the cliff basically. That is what you're basically avoiding to do right now, and that is where the energy is sort of taking you to make this happen. This is you also beginning to build something that is more stable, okay? The Seven of Coins is always an energy where we invest, where we put in, but where we also have the patience to see this through in the long run. This could be about your own growth. This could be about your environment. This can be a new direction. So the action you're postponing is basically you deciding to move on mentally, choosing what actually fulfills you, move on mentally, choosing what actually fulfills you, and investing your energy somewhere where it's healthy. And when this action, if I'm looking at all these cards together again, is postponed, this is when cycles continue. This is when you ask the tarot again, when you get similar messages, when you stay in the waiting game instead of doing something about it, when you hope and you sort of catch yourself asking the same question again. So the cards aren't changing because your decision isn't changing. That is one of the hard truths. So if your decisions don't change, the cards cannot change the outcome. Because tarot is showing you the same energy because the situation itself is still out there, is still the same. And this is important. Tarot is not meant to replace your decisions. As much as I love doing tarot readings, tarot is never, never, ever meant to replace a decision that you make. You are the master of your life. And it might be a way to break the cycle that you're in, okay? It helps you to mirror energy back to you. So, what else did I want to say? I think that being aware of the situation, being aware of cycles that are always repeating yourself. And I'm sure, like, if I told you, or if I asked you right now to, in the past 2 weeks, what cycles have repeated themselves? Is it a financial cycle? Is it a relationship cycle? Is it something to do with your career, with your business, whatever that means for you? But if there's a certain cycle that's repeating itself, then it is time to change your energy around these things. Because the moment you stop asking certain questions and start moving, that is usually when the energy of that entire situation completely shifts. So, if this resonates with you, if this is where you feel like you are at, take this as your sign to not pull another 500 cards or watch another 5 million YouTube videos on your situation. Instead, sit with what you already know, because the cycle does not stop when the cards change. It stops when you decide to move, because you're the it factor of this equation. All right. Thank you for being here. I will post another video next week if this is something that you're interested in. I would love to see you there. Bye-bye.